Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. So, today's video, Operation Narai. I don't often do videos on World of Warships operations, not because there's anything particularly wrong with them. I actually quite enjoy playing the operations. But, well, once you've seen one operation, you've seen it 100 times. They tend to follow the same format, and there's not really anything new to see unless things either go spectacularly well or spectacularly badly. Now, I'm playing Operation Narai because I've just gotten my hands on the unique new French commander with the release of the latest patch. I've put him in my Lyon, it's a tier 7 battleship, and the operation of the week this week is Operation Narai, the tier 7 operation. So I thought I'd test the waters, as it were, here before diving straight into random battles. The first 4 ships that you encounter in Operation Narai are tier 4s. The French tier 4 cruiser, the DDR4, the US Navy tier 4 battleship, the Wyoming, and the US Navy tier 4 destroyer, the USS Clemson. Almost right from the start, I started to get a very bad feeling about this operation. Believe it or not, there is actually a Clemson down there. And the Clemson is the one that poses the most significant threat to the convoy that you're escorting, because if you don't kill him, he launches torpedoes. And those torpedoes can, and often do, take out transport ships right at the start of the match. And yet it's only now that the Clemson's been spotted because our 3 cruisers and 1 destroyer all hiding in the middle of the transport ships rather than getting out there spotting targets so they can be sunk. And then of course there was this Miyoko. Yeah, that's a rather embarrassing collision there, and he's paying no attention to my horn. And okay, it takes 2 to tango, but he's also making no effort whatsoever to disengage from the collision, and in fact it was only my cutting my throttle that allowed us both to disengage and stop getting in each other's way. Meanwhile, of the 3 cruisers and 1 destroyer, only 1, the Atlanta, is actually bothering to shoot at the major threat, the Clemson, which means he's almost certainly managed to get his torpedoes away. So there's a fairly good chance we're about to lose one of the assault transport ships. Meanwhile, the Fort Lancer over there, which is shooting at the Miyoko, hasn't taken a single point of damage yet, which is quite amusing because it's the first target that pops up during the course of the battle. I was about to put it out of its misery and stop it from shooting up the Miyoko, but that's when the Emerald made its appearance. Now, the Emerald and the Nicholas that follows it up are the second major threat to the assault transports. The Emerald has lots and lots of torpedoes, so that thing needs to die quick. Now, ideally, at this early point in the battle, it should be the cruisers and the destroyers who are dealing with the Emerald and the Nicholas, while the battleships, myself, the other Lyon, and the Gneisenau, deal with the Iron Duke down there. But the only one of our cruisers who was bothering to shoot at the major threat posed by the Emerald and the Nicholas was, once again, our Atlanta. This was a pattern that was going to repeat itself throughout the course of this battle. I've just taken out the fort before it started shooting up the assault transports. I'm now switching my fire to the Iron Duke down to the south, and he's taken very little damage, although he is burning, which means somebody's been shooting at him with high explosive shells. It could be the Lyon, it could have been the Gneisenau. At this point in the battle, I was rapidly coming to the conclusion that absolutely anything was possible. Luckily, the Atlanta is still on the ball, he's taking care of the Nicholas, so the torpedo threat to the assault transports has been successfully neutralised. Now, the reason you need to take care of the Iron Duke, it's not just to pad your damage stats, it's because with the Iron Duke down there, it makes it far too dangerous for anybody to head south and intercept the enemy transport ships that are evacuating from the base. If any of them escape down here to the southwest, you lose a star. You want to complete this operation with 5 stars for the maximum possible number of rewards. And the rewards are pretty good, although you can only get them once. But still, the number of stars that you complete the mission with act as a multiplier for the amount of experience and credits that you earn. So you always want to complete the mission with as many stars as you possibly can. And with the Iron Duke neutralised, there's now nothing standing in the way of anybody heading down south to take care of those transport ships and save us a star. And we do have 2 ships on the team that are ideally suited for the task. We have a Mayhan, but judging by the way he's sort of aimlessly sailing around in circles in the middle of the fleet of transport ships, I'm not expecting great things from him. Then again, we also have that Atlanta. And the Atlanta is a good player, based on what I've seen of him so far, but the problem is he can only be in one place at a time. And there's another job that has to be done in order to complete this operation with 5 stars, and that's chasing down and killing a Lexington, an aircraft carrier. The problem is that the Lexington is going to be making an escape up the complete opposite end of the map, and the Atlanta can't be in 2 places at once. Well, wait, why does the Atlanta have all of the responsibility? Why can't one of the other cruisers of the destroyer do it? What, you mean guys like that Miyoko? The guy who just grounded himself and is now reversing broadside on in front of a Missouri. The guy in the heavy cruiser on with 8 10-inch guns, who's using those 8 10-inch guns to fire high explosive at a pair of light cruisers broadside onto him at a range of 6 kilometers. You're expecting that guy to save a star? I don't think so. So, at this point, I'm fully confident that the best we can possibly do here is 4 stars, and even then, only if the Atlanta goes after the aircraft carrier, because nobody is going after the transports. In fact, it's already too late for anybody to go after the transports. They're a lost cause. We've already lost a star on this operation. I'm thinking about how to deal with an aircraft carrier myself at the moment. I'm reasonably sure that the Atlanta's going to go for it, but one cruiser, especially a light cruiser by itself, because it's not just the carrier, it's escorted by a destroyer and a cruiser, and that's a bit much for one ship to handle. 2 ships, whether that's a fast battleship and a light cruiser, can handle it relatively easily. For now, however, I have slightly more pressing concerns, because that's a bloody Missouri. He does like to prioritise the cruisers, which is why I'm taking the risks here that I am, but he needs to die. And he needs to die fast, because if he makes it unscathed around the side of that island, it's not out of the question that he's going to ram the lead assault transport, and that will be another star lost. So while I have this angle on him, which is as close to perfect as I can get, I'm trying to deal as much damage as possible to the Missouri and hope that somebody else on the team, other than the Atlanta, is capable of thinking and breathing at the same time. Ah, the Gneiser now. Practically full health, and he has torpedoes. More than enough torpedoes to finish off the Missouri. So he rams him. Oh my god. Give me strength. Okay, so we've lost the Mayhan as well. And there's the Phoenix, which is one of the 2 escorts for the Lexington. Unfortunately, my guns were still trained in the direction of the Missouri, so I didn't get the opportunity to take a shot. I'm looking at the map, and to my rear, up to the north, I can see that the Atlanta and the Miyoko are both perfectly poised to cut across to the east and intercept that aircraft carrier. And with 2 of them, it shouldn't be a problem. And in fact, there's the carrier as well, but I don't have a shot at him. So, the enemy transports are a lost cause. We're never going to get them. The Lexington should be taken care of by the Atlanta and the Miyoko. So, I'm going to stay here and take care of the threat to the assault transports in the shape of that Campbelltown, and there's also a Dallas around there somewhere, who are lying up in ambush, waiting to sink the assault transports as they enter the enemy harbour. If those transports come around this corner and those 2 ships have not been dealt with, they're going to eat a whole bunch of torpedoes and 152mm shells. And while it's true that hunting destroyers is not really what battleships were designed for, there's nobody else in a position to shoot at these guys. Everybody else is too far to the rear, with the exception, once again, of the Atlanta, who's about to save my arse, because one of the aircraft carrier's 2 escorts, that Nicholas, doesn't always head north with the aircraft carrier. Sometimes, doesn't happen often, but it happened here. He comes around this way to deal with anybody poking their nose around the corner of the main harbour. So, big thank you to the Atlanta over there. Without, I might not necessarily have died, but I would have lost a lot of health if he'd been able to get around that corner and torpedo me. While he still has line of fire, the Atlanta is raining shots down on the Campbelltown, which means I can use my big guns to do what they were designed to do and inflict serious amounts of damage on enemy cruisers. And the Atlanta is going to continue helping for as long as he possibly can as he peels off north to go and deal with that aircraft carrier and its escort in the shape of the USS Phoenix. Unfortunately, as you can tell by a quick look at the map, he's doing it alone. The Miyoko that I thought might be going with him has headed to the rear to hide amongst all the transport ships. In fact, well to the rear of the transport ships. You can see the first one, or you could just, there he is, approaching the harbour mouth now, so I do need to finish off that Dallas, and in fact I do. The Shaw's has headed down to the south, and I was kind of concerned about the Campbelltown, but the Shaw's has managed to finish him off, so that's good news. We're now clear to enter the harbour. Unfortunately for the Atlanta, While I am confident that he is going to be able to deal with the Lexington and the Phoenix, he is going to take a lot of damage in the process, because he's up there alone. The Miyoko could have been useful to the team alive. He could have headed up there with the Atlanta and at least absorbed some damage. I mean, the Shawls down to the south is able to lob some shots over the top of the island and is assisting, but he's not scoring that many hits because of the range. Still, some help is better than none. Now, as soon as the assault transports cross the boundary of the enemy base and begin unloading their troops, we're going to trigger the next attack wave, which is, there it is, it's just happened. It's going to consist of a Britannia, a New York, an Omaha, a Farragut and a Queen Elizabeth. And to win the operation, we have to ensure either the safe landing of 1,400 troops from the assault transports, but given that most of the team aren't yet even in a position to shoot at these guys, I have zero confidence of that happening, or we have to sink all of these ships, and all of the ships in the final attack wave. And the Atlanta, as predicted, has lost almost all of his health. And he's in a good position up there. As you can see, he's able to get some crossfire on these enemy ships. But he has very low health, and these ships do like to go for the target that has the lowest health remaining. So he's going to have to work pretty damn hard to stay alive. Right now, it's only me, the Atlanta, and the Shawls who are in a position to defend the assault transports. The Miyoko and the other Leon are only just getting into a position where they're able to actually start bringing their guns to bear. The assault transport that I'm escorting has picked this precise moment to cut across my bows and attempt to start unloading his troops, which is, well, it's a little embarrassing, but it's not the end of the world. I'm slowing down to let him get around me, and then I can shield him from any incoming fire. And I kind of needed to slow down here anyway, because I don't really want to get within torpedo range of that Farragut. Although, once again, I'm in a battleship doing the cruiser's job, and inflicting most of the damage on the destroyers when I really want to be shooting at the enemy battleships and the cruisers, but the Farragut is the major threat. He's the one who needs to die. The Farragut is probably going to burn to death here, but I don't want to sit around waiting for that to happen and give him the chance to get his torpedoes away, so I take the shot with just one turret, but the Shawls beats me to the punch. And that's fine. The important thing was that the Farragut died before he was able to torpedo one of the transports. With my remaining turrets, I want to try to take out that Omaha before he gets close enough to use his torpedoes. We've just lost the Shawls. That just leaves myself, the Atlanta, who's still alive, still doing damage and still dodging incoming fire, and the other Leon, who we haven't really seen up until now, and who has only just managed to get himself in a position where he can actually start shooting at these enemy ships. Up until now, he's been far too busy with the important business of shooting at unarmed transports that were pretty much guaranteed to get away anyway, and complaining in chat about how bad the rest of the team were. Now, at this point, you can see why I wasn't particularly anxious to get too much further forward than I am at the moment, because not only would that get me within torpedo range of ships like the Farragut and the Omaha, not to mention the Gallant that spawned just ahead of me that you can see my secondaries firing at as he returns fire at me, and if I was any further forward, I'd be getting caught in a crossfire from all of these enemy ships. As it is, from here, I'm able to get lovely, juicy broadside shots right into that Omaha and the New York. Nice, a Citadel, I'll take it. I would have preferred two, but he's dead anyway. And the Omaha actually strayed within 5.4 kilometers of me, and that's why I'm reversing here. Not just because I don't want to get caught in a crossfire, but because his torpedoes have a 5.5 kilometer range, and there they are. Just short. Now it's the turn of the New York. All the same, I'd be a lot happier if that Gallant was dead. Now, our Atlanta was shooting at the Gallant while he had line of fire. He doesn't now, and he has taken a couple of hits from my secondaries, but he still has about half of his health left. And I was getting kind of worried that I was about to suck on a whole bunch of his torpedoes until the appearance of the other Leon, who still has almost all of his health, as do I, but, you know, I've actually been getting shot at, and I've been burning through heals. He has finally decided to put his money where his mouth is. But he seems to be awfully keen to get uncomfortably close to a whole bunch of enemy ships that are all armed with torpedoes. Certainly a lot more keen than I am. He has at least avoided the torpedoes from the Gallant, and the Gallant is dead, as is the Indianapolis. Next, it's the Queen Elizabeth, but the final enemy attack wave has just spawned. This is another reason why I didn't want to get too far forward too early in this phase of the battle. As well as the survivors of the current attack wave, which at the moment is just that Queen Elizabeth, we also now have to deal with an Atlanta, a Colorado, and a Shawls. Although the Queen Elizabeth isn't going to survive for too much longer if she keeps giving me broadside like that. And it's the Atlanta who actually finishes off the kill by burning the Queen Elizabeth to death. I really didn't have enough good things to say about the captain of that Atlanta. But now, it's the Shawls, the enemy Atlanta, who we can't see at the moment, in fact has just popped up on the far side of the island, and that Colorado. They all have to die, but only one of us has to survive in order to complete the mission. At the moment we're still going for 4 stars. The only star we've dropped so far, thanks to the Atlanta taking care of the carrier single-handed, was by letting the enemy transport ships escape to the southwest. Once again, I'm maintaining a healthy distance because I know the Shawls has torpedoes with a 4-kilometer range, and I know that the Atlanta has torpedoes with a 4.5-kilometer range. Also, once again, the other surviving Leon is getting uncomfortably and unnecessarily close to ships that are armed with torpedoes. Once again, however, while he dodged the Gallant's torpedoes, he dodged the Omaha's torpedoes, he's dodged the Shaw's torpedoes, but the Atlanta has torpedoes as well, and dodging the Shaw's torpedoes required that he decelerate and turn hard. And the Leon's a good ship, and it's pretty quick, but it doesn't accelerate particularly quickly. And yeah, I've got a pretty bad feeling about that. Now at this point, I'm going full speed for the Colorado. I'm thinking to myself, it's okay, we can still do this. All I have to do is shoot the Atlanta and ram the Colorado. As long as one of us is still alive... Oh, the Atlanta's dead. Okay, let's just drop anchor. Stand on the brake pedal there. Let's bow tank the Colorado. Kill the Atlanta, and now I have to kill the Colorado and not die in the process. And the Colorado is armed with 16-inch guns, and I'm just a tier 7 battleship. I have a couple of things in my favour here. The Colorado is really slow, and his turrets take forever to turn around. So I'm going to attempt to get some shots through his stern armour, where it's at its weakest, and take advantage of the fact that the Colorado is trying to sink the lead assault transport. The lone surviving transport ship, well, aside from the one that I was escorting, you know, I'm just saying, and I'm going to pursue the Colorado while attempting to stay on the right side of his guns. Although those turrets are swinging around, he's definitely going to take a shot at me. Now his 16-inch guns can punch right through my bow armour, but he shouldn't be able to citadel me from the front, because my transverse armour should be able to take the edge off his armor-piercing shells, but he's still going to be able to do a fair amount of damage. Okay, he's fired. He can't hit me with his front turrets. He's engaging the lead assault transport with his secondaries, and we'll be shooting at him with his front turrets as well, and he's swinging the ship around. Okay. It's not exactly a broadside shot, but it's the best I'm going to get for the moment. Now don't forget that that lead assault ship also works as a mobile repair ship. Anything inside that green circle that's not an enemy gets repaired. And in the length of time that it took the Colorado to clear that island over there to the right, the assault transport has managed to repair almost all of its health. In fact, it's repaired all of its health. So that's going to buy me a bit of time. Now luckily, the Colorado is so slow and has such slow turning turrets, and the Leon is, well, it's not a fast battleship, it's certainly not slow. I am able to stay on the safe side, if not safe from the Colorado's secondaries, but you can see that he's now completely given up trying to swing those rear turrets around to hit me. And I am, by the way, now starting to take hits from the enemy Nicholas. Wait a minute, what Nicholas? Well, the enemy transports that managed to get away around about 10 minutes ago were escorted by a Nicholas, and that's been running around the map looking for something to shoot at ever since. So if I don't want to get torpedoed, I'm going to have to take this Colorado out with my next salvo. But the Leon does have a lot of guns. The Colorado is a perfect broadside target and doesn't really have a lot of health left. And that's my 9th and final kill with 352,000 damage done. And against all of the odds, while it wasn't a 5-star win, it was a 4-star win. And if I'm being completely honest, that's 4 stars more than I was expecting, based on how things were going within the first few minutes of that battle starting. In fact, I had to carry that operation so damn hard. Although not alone, the Atlanta certainly helped. But I received an award that I've seen so rarely I'd forgotten it even existed. Major contribution. Cause more than 35% of the total damage dealt by your team and successfully complete the operation. The damage you dealt must be at least 150,000 hit points. Well, I doubled that. I suspect I might have done 50% of the total damage dealt by my team. 750,000 credits, 21,000 experience, and while it's not shown here, you'll see in one of the later results, 53,000 commander experience. So my new unique French captain is well on the way to his 11th skill point, after one game played. I'd like to thank Shiner ST in the Atlanta, and to a lesser degree Sir Leon in the Shores, without whose efforts that would have been the most soul-crushing 0-star defeat imaginable. So well done to you two. I'm happy we were able to get the win, so your efforts weren't completely wasted. I'm just sorry we couldn't get that elusive 5th star, but hey, we can't all be everywhere doing everything all the time. I hope that anybody watching this video has gained a couple of pointers on how to best complete Operation Narai, and if you don't play Operations, I just hope you've enjoyed the video, because that's it for today, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.